You are using your credit card wrong, and it's probably costing you thousands of dollars every year. So in today's video, I'm gonna go over the top 7 biggest mistakes that beginners make with their credit cards. And let's be honest, this is also for regular everyday people that have had credit cards for a long time, because there are some of these things that people just don't know. Now, you wanna make sure that you watch this to the very end, because number 1 is one of the biggest mistakes that everybody makes with credit cards that nobody is talking about. And the whole purpose of this is to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes that I made, because let's be honest with each other, our parents didn't teach us this, they don't teach us this in school. We all have to learn by trial and error, but today I'm gonna make sure that moving forward, this doesn't cost you any more money and you're not making horrible mistakes with your credit cards. I wanna give a special shout out to all my beasters out there that signed up for Dispute Beast and are working hard to fix their credit using the most advanced DIY credit repair software ever created that anyone can use. If you need to fix your credit, link is gonna be in the description. Let's go ahead and jump right into this list because we got a lot to cover today. And at number 7 is not learning your statement closing date. Everyone is laser focused on their due date. Everyone thinks that their due date is the end all be all on their credit card statement. And that's the biggest mistake that people make, because when you don't understand or even know your statement closing date, you are truly allowing the credit reporting agencies to deduct points from your credit score. Now be aware, you always want to make sure that you at least make your minimum payment by your due date. So set your auto payment up to never miss a payment ever again. And make sure that you have it set up with an actual bank account, so like your checking or your savings, and not a debit card. Because if you set it to your debit card, let's say hypothetically your debit card is actually jeopardized and you have to close it, then guess what? Your credit card payment may not go through, and then you're gonna get hit with the late payment, and we don't want that. Now let's put this actual credit card statement up on the screen so everyone can see it. Now you're gonna see right here, that's your beginning statement date, and then that's your closing statement date in the little square box. Now in the circle, you'll see that that is your due date, and we already covered that, but we want to focus and learn our statement closing date. So as you can see here, January 22nd is the second date. So that is my statement closing date. Why is this important? Because that specific date controls your credit score. So if my statement closing date is the 22nd, I want to give this at least 2 business days to make a payment. So I'm going to pay my credit card on the 20th of every month. And once I pay that credit card and then my statement closing date hits, I stop using the credit card for 3 to 7 business days. Because this is what the biggest complaint about people on credit cards is, well, I paid my whole credit card off and then it reported I have a balance. How is that possible? Well, because you paid it on your due date, and as you can see, your due date is the 16th, but your statement closing date is the 22nd. So you paid your credit card off in full on the 16th, but then you went and used the credit card and then it reported that new balance. This is what people get so confused about. And this is the number 1 thing that I talk to about all my clients about, because everyone's so confused as to why it's reporting a balance. This is why. Once your statement closing date hits, and let's say you use your credit card, then it's going to report that balance. But if you stop using a credit card for 3 to 7 days from your statement closing date, then the credit reporting agency is going to report a 0 balance. And yes, it's okay to report 0 balance. Stop believing these idiots on social media saying, oh no, you gotta report a balance because they gotta see that you use your credit card. That's not true, and we're gonna cover that later because this is also on the list. Remember, this is the key here. Stop using the credit card once your statement closing date hits for 3 to 7 days at maximum. And then after that 7-day window has hit, go back to use your credit card as normal. Now let's jump into number 6. Number 6 is a huge one, carrying a balance, not paying off your credit card in full every month, always only making a minimum payment. People always focus on the interest rates on credit cards instead of focusing on not carrying a balance. The goal should be to use your credit cards for your everyday expenses that you're already scheduled to pay. So let's say your gas for your car insurance, your light bill, your water bill, your Netflix, your Hulu, your cable, your cell phone. Those things can be used to pay with your credit card, and then you pay them off right out the gate. Don't wait for it to end at the end of the month. Pay them off as you go, because you can make 1 payment every single month. Every time that you make a minimum payment on your credit card, you are going to incur interest fees every single month. You do not have to show a balance on your credit score. In fact, what bank is gonna reward you for carrying a balance every month. They're not. You owe the bank money. Let's stop believing that you have to carry a balance when in fact you don't. A bank is gonna like you more when you report a zero balance versus you just making the minimum payment every month. At the current interest rates right now, a lot of credit cards are in between 20% and all the way up to 35% interest rates. So in the past, it wasn't such a big deal because, you know, credit cards were below 15% and 10%, and then you had a lot of 0% APR credit cards as introductory offers. But right now, if you're currently carrying a balance, you're getting eaten up by interest fees for no reason. So pay off your credit cards in full, and that will make sure that you never pay any interest whatsoever. And then you're just gonna get cashback rewards, or you're gonna get points to travel for free. That's how you want to use the credit system to your advantage. Number 5, it's important to leave a small balance on your credit card so that they know you're using your credit card. That's absolutely false. A credit card company understands when you're using your credit card and when you're not using a credit card. Leaving a balance on it doesn't define the moment that you're using your credit card whatsoever. Because in fact, I'm gonna show you a chart right here that is going to prove to you the big difference and this huge myth that everyone is talking about on social media that you have to carry a balance, because if you don't carry a balance, then it's gonna drop your credit score. Well, no, you're gonna be shocked when I show you this now. Last part's the most important. Now we're gonna put this chart up on the screen. This is directly from FICO, the people that make up your credit score. No, this is not Credit Karma. Credit Karma is a Vantage 3.0 credit score that lenders do not use. Any lender is going to be looking at your FICO score. So let's take a look at this chart. In the little red box you can see right there, this is going to show you exactly the percentage that you're going to report. So when you see 0 right there on the screen, it says 55 points. So everyone's claiming that you're gonna get lower points if you report a 0 balance. Well, unfortunately, that's not true, because if you look at right there, it says 1 to 6% utilization. That's 65 points. That is a 10-point difference. But pay attention to the little asterisk right next to it. That asterisk in the box represents the maximum points possible minus the actual points that you already received. So you could have possibly already received those 10 points. So by carrying another percentage is not going to make sure that you add additional points, because remember, you may have already received the points. I could have got all 10 points, you could have got 2, the other person could have got 3, 5, 6. Everyone is different based on your credit profile. So making the general statement that if you carry a balance, it's gonna make sure your credit score stays really high is a really far stretch. This right here proves it. It can potentially be up to a maximum, sorry if I could say that right, of 10 points, and that is it. Now let's put up the other chart that's gonna break down your actual credit score points on the screen right here. Now you're gonna see credit utilization makes up 30% of your credit score. Now this is exactly what people are talking about. Your credit utilization is not how much of your credit card that you use. Remember, it's the balances that report from your credit cards, and only your credit cards, not student loans, not car installments, not your actual mortgage payment, but only credit cards. That's very important to understand. Remember, the balances that report are what's going to make up your utilization that reports to the credit reporting agencies, not how much of your credit card that you're actually using. Coming in at number 4 is reporting 30% usage every month, or possibly even more than that. All right, now let's put it back up on the screen, the FICO chart. We're gonna go back to the FICO chart to talk about this 30%. Everyone on social media loves to say, never go over 30%. You can carry up to 30% utilization. That's absolutely wrong. I don't know where it started, where it came from, but I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're carrying 30% utilization, you are single-handedly destroying your credit score. Now again, let's look at the red box on the screen. Now, if you're carrying between 20 to 49% utilization, you are losing more points. You're only getting 45 points instead of 55 or 65 points, because remember, it's a 10-point difference between 0 to 1% or 0 to 6%. So the more that you carry of balances, the higher utilization that you report, you're going to bleed more points. You always want to stay below 7%. You see that next chart? So it goes 0%, then it goes 1 to 6%, then it goes 7 to 19%. The moment you hit 7%, you start to lose a more significant amount of points. Now, me personally, the moment I hit 10% utilization, I start to lose a serious amount of points. The more higher balances that you report to the credit reporting agencies, the bigger of a higher risk you are to any lender. This is the reason why you lose more points. Now, people say, say, well, why can't I use my credit card? No, you can use your credit card as much as you want. But remember, you must pay off as much as you possibly can every month. And a lot of people think that they need credit repair. No, you need to pay off your credit card balances. You need to be focused on reporting as low as you can on your credit card balances every month. And the more consistently you do that, the higher the points you're going to achieve. Coming in at number 3, scorching hot, not using your credit card enough. This is one of the craziest issues that I see with people. They have a $250 credit card with Capital One. He said, I've had this credit card for 4 years and Capital One refuses to raise my credit limit. Well, how much of the credit card are you actually using? Are you using any of it? Are you using maybe only $10? Well, yeah, they said I shouldn't use more than 10% of my available credit. No. You shouldn't report more than 10% of your available credit. You can use as much as your credit as you want responsibly and then pay it off in full every month. Because if you don't use your credit card enough, the credit card company has no incentive to raise your credit limits. Why would they give you more money if you're not using it? Use your credit card and put something on it like your Netflix, your Hulu, your cable bill on auto payment, and then make sure that you pay off that balance in full every single month. Instead of making the minimum payment, why don't you set it to pay the full balance off every single month? It's really just that simple because you're already scheduled to pay off your cell phone. You're already scheduled to pay your car insurance. So why not do that with your credit card instead? And now the more that you use your credit card, now the credit card company sees that, okay, now they're using your credit card. Let's give them some more money. Let's see what they can do. Because the more that you use your credit card responsibly and you pay it off in full every month, the more the bank's going to be incentivized to raise that credit limit. And here's the sadder part about this. If you don't use your credit card, period, a credit card company can shut your credit card off within 2 or 3 months because of non-activity or lack of activity or no activity. They'll just shut your card off. And what if that's one of your oldest credit cards that you had, but you're just like, it doesn't have a real big limit on it, whatever, it doesn't matter. Well, if you close an account, it's going to have a negative impact on your credit profile, especially if it's an old credit card that's been in your credit report for more than 5 years. Just remember, keep it super simple. Put your Netflix or Hulu on there, pay it off in full every single month. Keep the card active at least once every 2 months or a minimum once every 3 months. Every lender is different, but understand if you don't use your credit card, they're just gonna turn it off completely. Coming in at number 2, if a credit card doesn't work for you, don't close your credit card. That's the biggest mistake I see people do all the time. Well, I'm just gonna close it. It doesn't matter to me. No, switch the product out for a product that makes sense for you. Let's say hypothetically, you got the American Express Platinum card because you thought it was a hot card. You're like, yo, this card is awesome. I wanna use this. Then you didn't really use the benefits. You're like, I'm not trying to pay this annual fee. Well, then you can downgrade that. Call American Express or the credit card company. Say, hey, listen, this credit card is really not working for me. This annual fee is too high. What are some other options you may have for me? Now, some credit card companies like American Express will downgrade the credit card to another credit card. Now, sometimes you may not get the welcome offer for that credit card because you're downgrading, and they may give you a hard inquiry. Now, I'm not referring to American Express, but I'm saying some credit card companies may give you a hard inquiry for downgrading because they want to check your credit profile. American Express doesn't do that. A lot of the bigger credit card companies don't do that, but understand some may possibly do that. So don't close your credit card, downgrade it to a different credit card, because what's going to happen is if you close that credit card, you're going to lose that payment history, that age, all of that, and the credit limit on your credit profile. But if you switch the product out and you downgrade, you're going to keep the same account, you're going to have the same credit limit, they're just going to switch the card out from one card to the other, and guess what? You keep the age of credit on your credit profile and your credit stays in good standing with that actual bank, and your credit profile has no issues or no problems, and you're not negatively impacting your credit profile. Now, before everyone comes in the comments and starts asking me this question, because it always comes up, what should I do if I got a crappy credit card that I don't want anymore? As an example, a Credit One, an Open Sky, a First Premier, or an Indigo credit card. Should I close that credit card? Now, you're gonna have to ask yourself this question on your own. Is it worth it for you to close it, or is it worth it for you to continue to pay the monthly maintenance fee or the annual fees to get absolutely nothing? Understand, if you close any type of credit account on your credit profile, it may have some type of negative impact. A great example, and this is only an example because remember, every credit profile is different. So if I were to close a credit card on my credit profile, I have like something like 30 plus credit cards. If I were to close one of them, it's not gonna have a major impact on my credit profile. But if you're someone like yourself who doesn't have a lot of credit cards and you close one, guess what? It's going to have a major impact on your credit profile. So remember, anytime that you close any credit card account or any credit account on your credit profile, it's going to have some type of negative impact because you're losing all of that available credit and you're closing an account and it's going to stop reporting positive payment history. That's the reason why it drops your credit score. So you're going to have to make the decision on whether or not you want to truly close that credit card. Now, the moment that you've all been waiting for, the number one biggest mistake that I see people make with their credit cards is not asking for a credit limit increase every 6 to 12 months. People get a credit card, they don't use it, and then 6 months go by, they're like, yeah, whatever, screw this credit card. It's not gonna do anything for me. Why would I ask for a credit limit increase? Well, guess what? The majority of credit cards, you can ask for a credit limit increase inside of the app on that credit card. Capital One, Chase Bank, American Express, Navy Federal, just to name a few. There is absolutely no hard inquiry if you request a credit limit increase inside of the app. Never ever call them on the phone and ask for it over the phone, because you will in fact get a hard inquiry if you do it over the phone. But now just about every credit card system is built where you can ask them inside of the app. But always pay attention, because sometimes, as an example, like Synchrony Bank credit cards, a lot of those credit cards will tell you that there's no hard inquiry, but some of them will give you a hard inquiry if you ask for a credit limit increase. So tread lightly. Now, the big question is, why should I ask for more money, Mike, if I don't need it? I don't really want to use that money. Having big limits on your credit profile doesn't mean that you have to use all the money. Because you have a $10,000 and a $30,000 credit card doesn't mean that you should use all of it. No, you shouldn't do that. It just shows lenders that you are in fact a responsible borrower. So as an example, if you start off with a Capital One Platinum credit card, they start you off with a $250, maybe $500 credit limit if you're lucky. But if you don't raise that credit limit and you're not working towards raising that credit limit, you go apply for another credit card. Now that new credit card company is only going to see low limit credit cards in your credit profile, and you're never going to get a high limit credit card on your credit profile. And that's what we truly want, because it will give us more flexibility. Let's say hypothetically, you have to have a major repair on your car. Now it's gonna cost you a couple $1,000s. If you only have 2 credit cards with a $1,000 limit, then guess what? You've just maxed out your credit cards. Your credit score is going to tank, and then now the lender's gonna be like, oh my God, what's going on with this person? But if you had 2 $10,000 credit limits and your car repair was $2,000, well, guess what? You're only using a small percentage of your available credit, because it's your overall available credit of all of your credit cards. So if you have 2 $10,000 credit cards on your credit report, now you have $20,000 of available credit. And if you use $2,000, it's not gonna make that big of a dent on your credit report, and it's not going to drop your credit score tremendously, as opposed to having lower limits on your credit cards. So I hope you enjoyed this video. We covered a big one on all the biggest mistakes that you don't wanna make with your credit cards. Now make sure that you watch the next video, because it is about credit karma and something that you may not know about. Now, if you felt that I brought you some value in this video, make sure that you don't forget and subscribe to increase your credit score.